Confident in his patriotism, the tourist blared the U.S. national anthem right at the guardsman, expecting a reaction. But instead of flinching, the guardsman stayed stone still. What happened next shocked everyone. The situation spiraled out of control, and the tourist soon regretted every second of it. But before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We share the untold stories, secrets, and traditions of the British Guards every day. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. In front of Buckingham Palace, a guardsman stands like an unmoving statue, his face carved from stone. No twitch, no sign of life. He's a living monument to discipline. Around him, chaos reigns. Tourists snapping photos, children shouting, and the endless hum of idle chatter. But, as if summoned by the air itself, a new figure enters the scene. An American tourist, oozing with pride and loudly waving his flag of self-importance. Clad in his unmistakable "Make America Great Again" cap and flashing a grin that could rival a victory parade, he marches straight toward the guardsman. His friends are already giggling, whispering excitedly, waiting for the big moment. Without hesitation, the tourist whips out a massive Bluetooth speaker, clearly designed for anything except subtlety, and places it directly at the feet of the motionless soldier. His friends start filming. You can practically hear the clicks of their cameras. The tourist, full of misplaced confidence, presses a button, and boom! The U.S. national anthem bursts to life, shaking the square with its thunderous volume. The melody, as if injected directly into the air, vibrates through the crowd, who now pause and watch the spectacle unfold. Meanwhile, the guardsman remains utterly unfazed. His face stays as stoic as ever. A glance in his direction? Nothing. The anthem? Not even a flinch. Inside his head, though, the thoughts are there, sharp and dry. Ah, the U.S. anthem. How charming. Do they really think I'll start humming along or do a little dance? Let's see how this plays out. The tourist beams, basking in what he believes to be his moment of glory. This is how it's done, folks. Showing the Brits what real patriotism looks like. His voice echoes through the square as he turns to his friends, unaware of how out of place his actions are. But the guardsman remains unmoved, unbroken, a living testament to dignity and professionalism. Meanwhile, the tourist, so desperate to be noticed, might just be about to learn a valuable lesson. The American tourist, now riding high on the deafening silence of the stoic guardsman, decides to take things to the next level. His friends, clearly enjoying this pathetic spectacle, encourage him with cheers like, "Make America Proud," and "Let's show these Brits how to party." It's as if they think they've cracked some international code of humor. The music gets louder, blaring through the speakers as if trying to force the anthem into the very bricks of Buckingham Palace. The guardsman, of course, remains completely unchanged. His face is an emotionless mask, his posture as rigid as ever. Not a single twitch. The anthem plays through its entirety, and yet not a single response from the man in red and black. But instead of taking the hint, the tourist interprets the guardsman's unmoving silence as a victory. "Look at this, guys," he says, spreading his arms wide in a dramatic flourish, as though presenting some grand work of art. "They probably think I'm some kind of diplomat bringing culture to this old country." He turns to the nearby crowd, proudly gesturing at them like a Broadway star awaiting applause. Some tourists laugh nervously, others look uncomfortable, but all of them are watching, wide-eyed, their faces reflecting disbelief. All except the guardsman, of course, who continues to stand there like a human statue, unbothered and unmoved. Inside the guardsman's mind, there's a near imperceptible wry smile. Oh, they're really going for it. What do they think? That I'll suddenly break into some impassioned speech about freedom? How adorable. The only freedom here is me standing still, not giving them the satisfaction of a single glance. The anthem finishes, but the tourist, in his complete delusion, decides the crowd hasn't had enough yet. Without hesitation, he presses play again. The anthem starts up a second time, even louder this time, reverberating through the air. What the tourist doesn't realize is that the longer he goes on, the more ridiculous he appears. His patriotism is drowning in irony, and his audience, those who aren't already filming the spectacle, are starting to see the true absurdity of the situation. As the second round of the U.S. national anthem blasts through the Bluetooth speaker, the atmosphere shifts. What was once a source of amusement for the American tourist now turns into something else. A small group of bystanders begins to murmur. Some laugh nervously, others shift their gaze awkwardly, as if unsure whether they should be entertained or appalled. Yet the guardsman remains as steadfast as ever, a silent pillar of stoic dignity. But the situation is far from over. A police officer, clearly having heard the commotion, approaches the scene with a look of suspicion. His eyes flick over to the loudspeaker, then back to the still, unmoving tourist. The American, now feeling invincible in his absurd patriotic display, stands proudly in front of the guardsman, his hands planted firmly on his hips like some kind of self-proclaimed hero. His chest puffs out, and his voice rings out across the square. "This is America, baby." His grin is wide and obnoxious, as if he's just claimed victory over the entire British Empire with a song and a speaker. The crowd watches, a mix of disbelief and discomfort in their expressions. If he thought they were impressed, he was sorely mistaken. The police officer, unimpressed and clearly not in the mood for theatrics, steps forward and taps the tourist on the shoulder. "Sir, you need to turn that off," the officer says, his voice calm but firm. The tourist, still living in his delusion of grand success, laughs and scoffs. "Oh, come on! I'm just showing respect for my country. What's the problem?" The officer doesn't flinch. He reaches for his radio and signals for backup, his tone unwavering. "You're disrupting the peace. That's illegal." In an instant, the tourist's smirk falters, his bravado crumbling. The realization hits like a cold wave. The officer is not playing along. The scene has escalated, and the tension is palpable. The first police officer, now joined by a second one, stands firm, their presence dwarfing the tourist's bravado. The first officer speaks again, his voice much sterner this time. "You're under arrest for disturbing the peace and creating a public nuisance. Please turn off the music and follow us." The tourist's face goes from self-assured to a ghostly pale. His words fumble out, desperate and incredulous. "What? Are you serious? I was just playing the national anthem." He looks around, hoping for some form of solidarity, but it's too late. His friends, once his loyal cheerleaders, have already scattered. They're now standing at a safe distance, nervously fiddling with their phones, as if they've never met this man in their lives. The crowd, which had previously found amusement in the spectacle, now watches in stunned silence. The smirks have vanished, replaced by a quiet understanding that this was never as funny as it seemed. The air has thickened with a strange sense of discomfort, the absurdity of it all settling in. The police move quickly, slapping handcuffs on the tourist. His once puffed chest deflates in real time, like a punctured balloon. His arms are locked behind his back, and with every step his pride evaporates, replaced by the harsh reality of his situation. As the officers escort him away, the tourist throws one last confused, pleading glance at the guardsman. But of course, the guardsman remains unmoved, unflinching. A rock in the midst of the storm. Inside his head, the guardsman can't help but dryly reflect. This is why I'm paid to stand still. What a day. And with that, the anthem finally fades, its last notes dissipating into the London air. The square, once filled with chaotic noise, is now eerily calm. The only sound left is the soft murmur of onlookers, their initial laughter now replaced with the quiet realization of how utterly ridiculous the whole spectacle had been. The only thing left standing strong? The guardsman, of course. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and let us know in the comments which guard tradition you'd like us to cover next. See you in the next video.